why no one asks a man leader, like, how do you balance your work and life? It feels like they don't need to take care of the family. They just need to be ambitious and doing great at work. Things change, and we are in the modern world right now. Whatever you are good at, whatever you feel valuable, you can have your own way to do it. So just don't limit by the norm.
It's beautiful to be around other women who make us feel like we can make the impossible possible.
Welcome back to this season of The Climb, a journey where listening to your heart reveals your true potential. With the Intermountain philosophy, on this show, we're here to teach you how to embrace the limitless nature of growth.
Women are reshaping the world, driven by their dreams. Our mission is to empower you to listen to your heart, pursue those dreams, to create a community where women like you can begin the climb to true success together.
In a world of comparisons, reconnect with why your work matters through inspiring stories of female entrepreneurs all around the world.
Discover what it means to build your legacy with authenticity and face your inner challenge with confidence.
Join us on this podcast as we explore how to become fearless, unleashing your true potential for you and your business.
If you choose to accept, your adventure awaits.
Ready to climb your inner mountain? The climb starts now.
Hello, Alice. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Climb. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm so excited for you to be on the show today and sharing your journey with us. I think that it's really beautiful when we can bring on women who have such a diverse and impactful journey, such as yours, from having your own business to meeting a large, wonderful community of women to also being a mother. I think that there are many parts of your story that our listeners will be excited to hear about and learn from today. So we're going to cut to the chase and get right into the moment, the pivotal moment where you decided it's time for me to become an entrepreneur. So I would love to know what motivated your decision to start your first business back in 2016. And how did this business, this agency evolve over time? First, tell us what it is and about that pivotal moment for you.
Sure. So this is really interesting because I actually met my first investor through SoCal, which is the Women Entrepreneur at Community. This really highlights the power of community. See, the power of community. It's a space where people meet, network, exchange ideas, and sometimes even come together to start a business. So that's the power of community. And at that time, my investor shared the vision bridging the East and West and helping companies in China enter the US market. So she brought the connections and I brought the expertise. And together we built a cross-border marketing agency. And that's our core business. Other than that, 7 years ago, we are already the pioneers in MCN. We're already signing creators and securing brand deals for them, which was cutting edge at that time. And moving to today, why I'm no longer running the agency anymore, but I continue to serve as the consultant, offering strategy guidelines for those cross-border companies looking to expand globally. And I do see an increasing demand for this kind of service, especially this year, 2024. I feel like it's a pivotal year that even more companies venturing across borders, and MCN definitely, set a stone as confirming its position as the dominant trend in the global market.
That's amazing. So you had a dream to bridge the East and the West, and you felt like this community experience that you had with SoCal and TEDx really influenced you to start that entrepreneurial journey, particularly when it comes to your leadership and your business. What about the energy in that room and that community of women made you want to go from pursuing maybe a traditional career path to, really embarking on that journey?
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, community is incredible, powerful. I actually found my first startup there, and inspiration is another thing. Seeing so many incredible female leaders from various industries all spreading positive and energies, and that's been really inspiring. It's a constant reminder that you can achieve anything and you can create amazing things.
It's beautiful to be around other women who make us feel like we can make the impossible possible, particularly because the journey of becoming a business owner and the journey of entrepreneurship can sometimes be a little tricky. It's not always roses, butterflies, and sunshines at the end of the mountain. And especially starting off on your own in your solo journey. What were some of the toughest challenges that you faced in the early stages as an independent entrepreneur?
Yeah, so when we talk about the solo journey, I definitely feel the loneliness in being an entrepreneur. Before my first startup, I actually worked at a startup. And that time, my boss said, I feel lonely being an entrepreneur. And I'm like, why? Because, we have a whole team here to support you, and you just need to make decision. Why do you feel lonely? I don't understand at that time. So later on, I become an entrepreneur myself. And I get the feeling. I get the feeling that, a lot of time you are on your own to facing all the challenges and making decisions. You really wish someone there can tell you the answer,
Yes.
or someone there to talk to, at least to, resonate with you and, understand what's going on and, share some insight with you. So that's the struggle part of, being an entrepreneur, the solo journey, the loneliness. You have to face a lot of things yourself. And that's why it's important to have a community, a group of people. We're going on the same directions. We are experiencing the same challenges. And especially for women, because we are emotional animals, we try to understand and support each other. So for us, understanding and supporting means a lot.
Yes, it can make or break the decision for you to keep going. I empathize with that statement as an entrepreneur myself. There are some times where I look around and go, where's the boss? Who's the boss here? Does it have to be me? And those are the moments where I also lean on the women around me to encourage me and to sometimes get me out of my own head. I think the mental strength and the mental transformation that we have to go through as entrepreneurs is something not a lot of people talk about, or maybe younger me who worked for somebody else had no idea I'd have to experience. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that's why we have to take the first step
Mm.
first. Like, you have to really experience, you have to step into it, to feel it, to going through, so you know how it reacts with you and what's the real you and how facing all these things.
Yes. And I'm sure that, of course, entrepreneurship is one thing, right? Finding out who you want to be and how you want to run your business and finding your community is another thing. But becoming a mother in the midst of all of that is another accomplishment to discuss in and of itself, right? So, from my understanding, you actually, when you were during your pregnancy in 2019, you launched a baby brand. And there's a myth that work-life balance exists for us as women, but what we can do is at least mitigate what that's like. How did you decide, okay, I'm a mom now, but I want to launch a business at the same time, but also how did you try to balance in your own way that work-life integration within the midst of all of that?
So first, I was really proud of myself that, having two baby at the same time. One is my first baby boy, and the other is my baby brand that I'm launching. You know, Trying to nurture and deliver two baby at the same time, it's amazing, but not easy. Back in that time, how do I decide to do that is because I think, okay, now I become a mom and I can have my own business, have, having, flexible time frame. I can do it on my own pace. That's great. So I can take care of both at the same time. But the reality turns out that that's totally opposite. Because I can relate to the previous podcast from the climb. There's another speaker who is Amanda. She mentioned about burnout as an entrepreneur. So I am exactly the person who always burn out when I'm at work. I'm perfectionist, I'm driven, so I want to make sure, everything's great and I'm doing awesome at work. So entrepreneurship part, I think I understand that I will do it 100%. But for the motherhood part, I don't know that I'm actually also a mom that want to involve in my kids' life a lot. It's also my first time being a mom. So actually, having two things at the same time and want to do it perfect, that really, burns out times two. It's really a time that, it's a process of me knowing myself as well. Because if you don't experience it, you don't know exactly how do you feel. So when I'm really, into the motherhood journey, I feel like that I'm that kind of mom that really want to involve like every stage of my kids. I want to watch them growing and I want to put a lot of energy towards it. But at the same time, you have another business. How do you handle that? And that's also the time I feel like, as the entrepreneur, you have the full potential, but also have the limitation. And knowing the limitation is also important. So, over time, you can set your boundaries and, having evolving and you are more stronger and more knowing your true self and what you can do and what you want to do.
Yes,
So that's the experience. Yeah. So that's the experience having two babies at the same time. And that's also something, let me think about like, can I really do it? Or do I really want to do it? Or what's the best way to integrate all this?
Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing how you did experience burnout during that time, because I think there are many women that may feel just outside looking in on social media that, oh, that lady, she has it all together, or this influencer or that influencer, they seem like they're fine. And maybe they feel secretly insecure that what's wrong with me? Why can't I do it all? Right. But the reality is, like you said, sometimes we're not wired to be 100% perfect all the time in every facet of our life, and that's okay. And the reason why it becomes okay, like you said, is you learn to decide that whatever I am not excelling at is it's not a weakness. Knowing that and having that awareness is actually a strength, because then you can start to focus on what you're good at instead of what you're not so good at. And I have a lot of empathy for that, because I think as ambitious women, successful women, we all want to be perfect, but man, it can really take it out of you and make you forget why you wanted to do it in the first place.
So for, go back to the questions, how do you balance work and life? That's an interesting question I do want to answer, because I feel like female leaders always being challenged by the questions, how do you balance work and life? And I want to challenge the question itself too, because when you really experience family and work, you do understand that this question doesn't exist. It's a fake
It's a
question
myth.
itself.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's no balance. There's actually only your personal choice. You are choosing things, you are prioritizing things. Depends on your value, because you are only one human beings. You have one brain and one body. You only have 24 hours a day. You can only decide what do you want to put your energy and time onto. So there's no like real balancing thing on this question. Also, there's another myth is why men leaders are not being challenged by this question. Why no one asks a man leader, like, how do you balance your work and life? It feels like they don't need to take care of the family. They just need to be ambitious and doing great at work. So I just want to share my insights on this question that I feel like men and women as well, they don't need to be limited on the tradition ideas, the normal norms that wife have to be, take care of the family, and then husband need to be really great at work and, bring out the values to supporting the family. Because things change and we are in the modern world right now. It could be any type of relationship or collaboration between the husband and wife. Whatever you are good at, whatever you feel valuable, you can have your own way to do it. So just don't limit by the norm, don't limit yourself. Yeah.
That's important. I'm glad you called that out because the truth is, like you said, the more, men are aware as well too, that if we can be a team and maybe, share responsibilities or break through this traditional mindset of the norm of, oh, the guy goes to work and the woman stays at home and that's that, and for those women that choose that, that's fine, but it's their choice, right? And that's beautiful when we have that choice and when we're actually able to spread the load a bit more. I also think that I like your challenging of the questions, right? The myth of the work-life balance, because what you said is true. There's no balance, there's only choices. And once I did hear from somebody, whenever you're saying yes to something, you might be saying no to something else. So if you say yes to going to a meeting with a friend, you might be silently saying no to spending an afternoon with your kids or something. So we have to be very careful of the yeses that we say and like set boundaries, just like you said. And you also said that you choose those things based on your values and your core. From my understanding, one of your core values is to uplift others. So how do you challenge this calling in your decision making and your consulting work? How do you really bring this mission to life in your everyday?
I would say it's more related to my life
Okay.
because I'm a mom. So I have a lot of mom friends, stay-at-home moms, and who wants to go back to the career and they feel the struggle and they are feeling that, I don't know if I should do it or, what can I do? I've been leaving the working space for that many years. Can I catch up? So they have the struggle and I feel it. And every time when I talk to them, I kind of like acting like a life coach, like
Oh,
coaching their emotional breakdowns, coaching their, self-doubt, and also coaching for the burden they're carrying right now. So most of them, they have responsibility for the family and kids, and they don't really have time to really think about it, to talk to their inner space. And yeah, so I feel like I'm not a life coach, but I'm already doing all the things that life coach is doing for my friends around me. So I think that's the calling I feel. And I do like, uplifting others and finding the values of others and bringing it out.
what would you say is the most memorable moment you had when you tried to uplift someone, a positive memory of when you tried to uplift a woman who was trying to start that journey of, growing their own business or really just even starting it all? Like, do you have any positive memories of that?
I think they always have the ambitions and things in their inside. So they know it, they know what they want to do, they have something growing inside, but it's just the outside environment or the situation they are in kind of like blocking them. So I do feel a really like aha moment that when I talk to them and kind of like evoke the inside inspiration from them, and they kind of like wake up and start think about it, and they can really seeing that their potential is still there, and they have the a little bit energy to maybe start the first step, a baby step, to find some change. Yeah, to really trying to find themselves back.
So, okay, I want you to pretend that you're my fake life coach right now. Like you're like a sister to me.
Mhm.
We're sitting down with each other and I'm like, Alice, I need advice. I'm, sitting at home. I really want to start my business, or I have a business I did on the side. I really want to grow it. Like, but I'm really not feeling like I can do it. What should I do? What advice would you tell me?
So, do you feel like you're not being yourself lately? Like feeling don't have the energy to do anything, feeling like lagging or, you know, anything can bring your interest?
Yeah, I mean, I used to have a passion for what I do, but lately I'm
Mhm.
feeling a little unmotivated and it's kind of a struggle.
So, is it because you are too tired of the daily routine? Have you think about maybe trying to just break through one routine to, give you 1 hour to do something you really like?
That's really good advice. I never considered maybe because I feel like I don't have time, but maybe if I try to give myself 1 hour out of the day, I could give some time for myself.
Yeah, and remember that, you are, supporting the family, the kids. But what's important is you have to also support yourself, a mom or a self. If you're, living your truly potential, doing the best you, that's actually benefits your family and people surrounding you.
What advice do you have for women who are trying to take care of themselves, but they feel a little guilty maybe to do so because they want to make sure everything else is taken care of first?
Do you believe like energy exchanging? So if you are already really tired in the negative energy, you won't do good for your kids or your family. You only like spreading maybe tiring or resentful words or complaining about your daily life or complaining about all the actions they do. But if you spend some time to self-care, really listen to your heart and look into yourself, take care of yourself first, then you have the energy that's more positive and powerful that you can spread to the people around you.
That's beautiful. Thank you for being my
Mm.
pretend life coach for that. I think we have some really good inspiration for those who are listening. But you did mention a key word that has my ears ringing, which is listening to your heart. And
Mhm.
it sounds like a certain book that we're all inspired by called The Inner
Mhm.
Mountain, which is written by Diane. So have you read Diane's book? Did you meet her ever? What insights have you gained from it?
Yeah, I actually met Diane at her new book release in the mountains in Los Angeles. And I'm really glad that Diane shared her stories in the book. She's an amazing female entrepreneur and she experienced all the challenges. And finally, she realized something inside is more important than we need to, face for it first. Breaking through inside, solving the problems from your inside may also help, building a strong personality to help you to facing all the challenges outside. So I think I'm really glad Diane speak up first, because like I said, as female, as entrepreneur, we do need a community that we can go together and we can collectively create something together. And Diane is the one who speak up first, so we can find each other and we can walk together.
When did you first come across your book? Was there a certain part in your business journey that you were in where maybe did you find the book at the right time? Did the book find you?
Yeah, I think the book find me. So yeah, I just happened to know her new book release. And when I read the book, I really resonate a lot. I see the part that, she feeling unsatisfied, the need of a change that really, relate to me a lot.
I think it's profound that someone as successful as her was vulnerable enough to share that she felt that she wanted to go on that journey. I think a lot of us we want to go on the inner journey, but we're too afraid to because we feel like we need to do what we have to do instead of what our heart is telling us to do. But once we listen to our heart, really, that's where I think the life changes happen. Like you were saying earlier, positive energy fuels you. You're doing the work you're passionate about. And I think that's what's so beautiful about the Inner Mountain philosophy. How does the Inner Mountain's emphasis on, that type of shared growth and personal discovery resonate with you personally or maybe in your entrepreneurial journey as well?
Of solo journey for entrepreneurs. So I think if we have a community that we can support each others, we can neutral each others, and we can even, collectively create something together that's really beautiful.
Yes. I think there are a few like concepts within the book that she talks about specifically about how, you know, it's not just listening to your heart, but it's also collaboration. It's also, being resilient. And sometimes you have to take the first step forward, even if you don't know where you're going, right? Like, what about that specific? Do any of those things really touch your heart when I say them? What comes up in your mind when I say those things?
I would say collaborations. So sometimes you don't know where the road leads you to. So, through collaborations, everyone bringing their own potentials and put together, it's definitely, multiplied effect on it. So, yeah, I would say collaboration is something that, inspire me a lot.
What does collaboration mean to you in the context of business and personal growth? So does it have to do with your community or is there a small team or, a couple women that you meet up with? Like give us an example of what that looks like in your day to day.
I would say community. As I mentioned earlier, community is incredibly powerful. I actually found my first business there. And I think inspiration is another thing. Seeing so many incredible female leaders from different industries, all spreading positive and energy, has been truly inspiring. And it always reminds me that, you can achieve anything and you can do amazing things. So, for example, when I doing my startups, when I see, other female entrepreneurs doing their startups and, the things they experience, the challenges they face, and how they break through it really inspire me. So I feel like I'm not the only one who in the bottleneck. I'm not the only one who, getting the ups and downs. So I kind of like feel with them and flow with them. That's the power of the community. Supporting each other, sharing ideas, and eventually we can get something from each other.
How do you think Intermountain and maybe other similar communities help entrepreneurs overcome the kind of isolation that you've experienced and we've all experienced at any part of our journey?
Yeah, it's a good thing that there's a space we feel safe and we can respect each other and share our ideas. So to bring out the vulnerability is not easy, but if there's a community letting you do that, and you feel that, oh, maybe I'm not the only one. It just simply like that, you feel the understanding, you already gain a lot of energy and you can carry on and moving forward.
What kind of support do you hope to receive from the Intermountain community in the future that you're really just kind of eyeing or wanting?
I do want to see a lot female stories. I want to see how do they break through their struggles or challenges in their life and work. So, just seeing all the stories already inspire me a lot. And I'm that kind of person really need the inspiration so I can have more sparkles and ideas for my own.
Yes. And I'm going to nudge you just a little bit, Alice, to be just slightly vulnerable if you're comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell as part of your story, we've talked about how people have helped you and you've been part of a community, you're educated, you have the experience, but what really helped you truly break out of that burnout? Like what was the actual moment or things that led up to that moment that made you feel like, okay, I can actually do this?
That's really interesting because there's certain time that I feel like that I don't really want to do my business. I lose the passion doing it. I'm like doing a daily routine that it's only for the responsibility that I have to do it. But I don't have the passion. And I know something is wrong. So from there, I try to find out the reason, like why, and what's going on and what's wrong. So that's the part I think really valuable because sometimes it's not about right. If you're knowing something wrong and you stop doing it, that's the right thing to do. So from there, I realized maybe, something is not working for our company structure. So instead of just keep doing, for responsibility, I should really rethink about what's the best for the company. So I think that's the time that's really, really valuable for me, knowing what not to do. And then so you have more space to do the right thing.
Thank you so much for sharing that because I think there is power in the pause. There is power in the
Mhm.
moments, just like the seasons. We have winter, we have spring, we have summer, we have fall. Even nature has to take time to shed its leaves, take a break, and start over again. And that's why I think the inner mountain journey and those philosophies really resonate with our, with me and also with our community because it's taking a moment to take one small right step every day instead of feeling like we have to be perfect and do it all at once and we have to know what we're doing right now or else we're not doing it at all, right?
Yeah, and I think that's also important to be resilient. It's okay to stop or it's okay to fail. And because if you have a stronger insight, you are strong enough and you have the faith that you can do it again. Because, anything is possible and it's okay to fall and it's okay to fail. But if you are going to the right directions, you are up for the next trend.
I think that failures are not truly failures, they're lessons.
Mhm.
As long as we keep going and are resilient in the way that we hear about from the inner mountain journey in the book, I think it's really just the next step for us to keep going. I think in my
Mhm.
opinion, I think it's a failure only when we give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, we've talked a little bit about Diane's book and your story and, just getting some inspiration. So let's do a couple of rapid fire questions for key takeaways at the end of our interview today. What's a book or resource that has deeply influenced your entrepreneurial mindset that you think our listeners should check out?
So I'm that kind of person, not a really book reading. I'm more visions and experience. So I would say some community like TEDx, like I host before TEDx Culver City, getting all the speakers, sharing inspiring stories, or something like In the Mountain, a community of female entrepreneurs or female communities that, we collectively sharing, nurturing. I think that's something more important to me.
That's cool that you find impact in the human experiences like TEDx or Inner Mountain. I really like that. I'm personally similar. I like to either watch things or learn from people around me, which is why I guess that I'm in podcasting. So there you go. There's that. What's the best
Mhm.
advice that you've ever received?
Taking the first step. So I think a lot of people, they have the ideas or they have something they want to do, but they just, blocked by something. I think taking the first step is really important. Once you are on the road, you're on the way, you might not know exactly what happened, or it might not be your original vision, but you are on the way, you are onto it, and you you will go with the flow.
Taking the first step is the scariest thing I think any entrepreneur can do. It's an underrated piece of advice, but sometimes you just have to go. You just have to keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask you a random question. Let's see how you answer it. What is a hobby that you enjoy outside of work that helps you come back to yourself or replenish you or excite you again?
I like art, so I
Ooh.
like all kinds of art. I like going to the art exhibitions. I like painting. So I think, seeing all the art pieces and have the thinking and feeling, really there's a moment that I can reflect myself and also, connect with the world. So art is my recipe. It's my, like self-care recipe.
I love that. Art is so beautiful because it can inspire us. I like to say that there's always inspiration everywhere we look, and a museum is a pretty good place for that if I say so myself. So, all right. Well, we're wrapping up our interview today. Thank you so much for being on this episode of The Climb today, Alice. I really appreciate you being my Intermountain business buddy, coming together with me on this trek of learning about life and business. We're so appreciative of you being on the show today.
Yeah, we are all climbers. Let's climb together.
That's it. That's it for The Climb. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Climb. Not ready for your journey to end? Make sure to join our online community and subscribe to our YouTube channel to discover your true spirit, strength, and potential today. Details in the show notes below. Need a guide for your journey? Check out our founder, Diane Wong's new book, The Inner Mountain.
Until next time, remember, you're an experiment. Focus on your own path and continue to climb your inner mountain. Thank you.